I would imagine if we are trying to specifically target a Malice deck, of course, Artifact Lancia is another card that comes to mind.
Yeah, of course. And now we have Umbra versus Magic here, and the teams are RUPL versus OMTA. Setting a card can sometimes be a bad sign, can also just be a start of a Malice combo, though, as we have the Gold Sarcophagus right next.
I have been there for sure, where I thought my opponent was just going to pass over the turn and didn't draw a starter, and then it's just, they actually go for Malice combo now, which is what we're going to see here from Umbra. We start with the set card, of course, representing a Malice trap to potentially stop something like an Effect Veiler, or rather dodging it. Dormouse summoned after Gold Sarcophagus, meaning we still even have our normal summon after all of this.
Yeah, that's a tough start for sure. And we overall see, and I like that we just at the same time display all three games.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
It's always the top playing, so that means Team OMTA certainly having some good luck here already on the first coin toss round here on the first set. So that is cool to see.
And I've been, it's a very intense feeling in a 3 versus 3 tournament like this one, when your team wins or loses all 3 coin tosses simultaneously, because they all happen at the same time. And in this case, it's of course Team OMTAP winning all 3 coin tosses. We've been on both sides of this equation at WCS before. We've won all 3 coin flips at the same time. We've also lost all 3 coins at the same time, and it's pretty intense in the positive or negative way, depending on which side you're on.
Do you have a concrete memory of one time happening that you lost all 3 of them?
It happened in the semifinals against Task's team last year, and then I remember in the very final round of games in the finals of 2023, it said it happened against Team 7. We won all 3 coin tosses in the last round of the finals.
That, of course, can very much help. But I think against Heroes Future, where that happened against you guys, you actually did still manage to close out there and go out successfully, right? Even in that set.
I believe that was the first round of games, so it wasn't like the decisive portion of the match yet. But I do believe, even though we lost 3 coin tosses, went like up to 1. I'm not entirely sure on that, though. I'd have to go back and check.
But for the moment, we check out what Umbra is doing here with the Malice deck, searching for Malice in Underground here with the also powerful Link 3 monster. I think, okay, we see another Fiendsmith card here on the side of Duel B. And in we go. So let's try to... actually, there's some interesting decks going on table C, because I see Azamina cards on Duel C. There's a Baron de Fleur. There's an Azamina Ilya Sylvia as well.
Yeah, and we saw also a Sylvie in the beginning, so that is a White Forest deck indeed, which I believe would be one of the few White Forests in the tournament today. I don't think there's going to be too many of those, which is interesting, to be honest, because that deck still, it packs a punch when it goes first. It's a pretty strong strategy still, especially now that, you know, Snake Eyes is not gone from the format, but Snake Eyes definitely less popular, so in a shared card environment, normally, of course, Snake Eyes would have blocked cards like Diabell Star or Wanted and so on and so forth. So that actually opens up a window where you can play White Forest and you're not actually too bothered by the shared card pool with it.
Yeah, I do absolutely agree. And one thing that I can also already tell here from only those couple of matches that we have seen so far, it seems like all of the teams are also somehow finding a way to include Fiendsmith cards into their deck. And I think Fiendsmith is a very interesting thing also for WCS and for the current format with those shared card rules. Whether one of your 6 decks, because at the end of the day, you can only have one of them have those Fiendsmith cards, whether you even want to have them. And it seems like for the moment, a lot of players have decided to play a Fiendsmith deck here for this tournament.
Yeah,
As we see the Moon of the Closed Heaven here as well.
Exactly, yeah, good call. The Fiendsmith cards are, of course, still very, very powerful, and I'm sure we're going to see some of those at the WCS as well. Of course, the thing is that they don't go into every single Malice or Ryziel deck. Like, they can go into those decks. Sometimes you see players do it, but I think the most popular versions of both decks don't use them at the moment.
Yeah.
Which means that basically you'd have to, quote-unquote, demote them to your 3rd deck or one of your secondary decks, so you're not going to see them as often. But they are definitely still, of course, a powerhouse of an engine, and I think we're going to see some decks use them for sure.
That is indeed the case, and I think I see A lonely detonator really there on Duel B, staring down the field that is about to be created. So not sure whether that's looking too good. And there was a Molch Army. Buvala's normal summon, so I think on Duel B, we may have a Ryzeal Mirror. It does really much look like that, because Dugaris usually only included in that.
That would mean it'd be Fiendsmith Ryzeal though, right? Because the other level 4 that we overlaid was a Lachromite. We're discarding Fiendsmith in Paradise here. Not a card that feels great to draw, but when you get to discard it for Dugaris, that feels pretty good.
It does indeed. I mean, it could also be a wild brew of possibly just Tearlaman's Fiendsmith. You never know, right?
Tearlaman's Fiendsmith? I mean, it's not impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that deck would play Dugaris.
It would, but...
And that detonator is already down to 1 material, as we can see. But we're setting a card, which... This is not a Malice deck. So setting a card is an indicator for the end of the turn here. And interestingly enough, we drew with that Dugaris, which means that we're not going to be drawing a card on the next turn. So we still have 4 cards left in hand, so we're not, like, out of resources yet.
The set card was a bluff, but now that it's a new turn, it does give us the opportunity to activate that 7th Tachyon again.
And we're revealing Ragna 0, which is a water rank 4, meaning we're probably going to add a little shark with that.
Ooh, I love me some shark. Let's see. Usually that is going to be the Big Jaws, right?
Surfacing Big Jaws, yeah, which is a very powerful card, actually. It, upon summon, lets you add another shark from your deck to your hand, and if you've activated a spell card previously that turn, you get to even special summon it from your hand instead of it using up your normal summon, which there's another shark which they commonly play, which is Drake Shark, which functions a little bit like Snake Eyes Poplar, because when it's added to your hand, you can just special summon it, making Surfacing Big Jaws an instant rank 4, basically.
Yeah, I'm already happy. I've seen plenty of Memento on the top 32. Now I'm seeing Shark cards as well in top 16. Yeah. It is a good day.
You would be happy with that.
For sure. And I mean, the field that Fabi there has at the moment is not too... Okay, Droll and Lockbird against Ryzeal Orionsville is pretty tough. And you just explained that you want to have access to the Drake Shark as well. Are you special summoning that, or are you searching it? You're searching it first,
You search it
right?
first in order to special summon it, but there is a cross available here for Tessie, and that's going to negate that Droll and Lockbird. However, we saw the Fiendsmith in Paradise, and here the Max C. So that Droll and Lockbird really just a way to lure out that cross negation.
Oh, but there also is Ash Blossom and Joy Spring as an answer. That's crazy.
Maybe should have attempted that Requiem first, huh? Maybe try and see if there's an Ash Blossom or a Call by the Grave. Maybe they would have. Who knows?
For sure. And wait, I think I see a Crimson Resonator on table C. What is going on there? What kind of deck have we brought here to the tournament?
Resonators in top 16?
Maybe that is the case, interestingly enough.
Just a reminder, this is top 16, and we started with 32, so both of these teams have already won a match, and every player only has 1 deck. So there's no way. They must have played this Resonator deck in every single game so far.
And it was successful. At least the team came through. Now the Magnum is going to activate. Already noteworthy, big enough to attack over the Appaloosa eventually. So probably you just want to negate this here for Appaloosa, because it may as well just afterwards be run over. And so yes, we want to negate clearly. When we also see Millennium cards on Duel A, this is honestly, we picked a perfect featured match here because we have so many different cool decks, right?
It is a good one indeed.
Ooh, but another negate of Appaloosa. Appaloosa negating on every table, really, though.
Yeah, you can really see they have different decks, but Appaloosa is still good in every single one of them almost. And down to 0 attack here, but how much can they do again? I mean, there's still 3 set cards, 2 cards in hand, a Firewall Dragon on the field. Probably very strong Malice setup in the graveyard. The Malice deck is so hard to overcome once it's actually set up its board.
Yeah, I mean, we started with this table. Oh, and it is game here. Umbra wins it. As I wanted to say, we started with this table, saw that the start was really good. We had Gold Sark plus a trap card and everything, and we now saw basically fast-forwarding the result of it, and that was just an impressive field, which was very, very hard to overcome, meaning that we have Team OMTA now in the lead, 1-0. Let's see how their teammates can do. That is an infinite impermanence on X Ryzeal there, but there's 2 level 4 monsters on the field still, so isn't that just a dangerous angle for a duo drive here?
There is probably still the Fiendsmith in Paradise.
Oh, you're
just another great thing about baiting out that, not only the cross, but also the Ash Blossom earlier, meaning that now the Fiendsmith in Paradise can resolve if they still have it.
Let's see.
Which
There
it
is
is,
Fiendsmith
yeah.
Paradise. That's strong. Is this really going to be enough? Fabi doing a good job here for Team RUPL to maybe still keep it around here.
Has to shuffle back the Engraver here, which was potentially follow-up for next turn. But other than that, we are just left with a lonely Drake Shark and a Detonator.
Which is Norman Summon. Another thing that we have to remember, we use the effect of Dugaris.
We're not going to draw a card, but we have 2 cards against which basically 0 interruptions right now. A Detonator without materials, a Drake Shark is not going to do anything. Frost can't negate anything if you don't have materials either. So really, all it takes here for Fabi is a play to get back into this game.
And do they have that, Fabi? They do also
Another
have Engraver.
Yep,
Nice.
They shuffled one back last turn because they knew they had another one. That's going to recycle the Requiem. And of course, here we see the strengths of the Fiendsmith cards come in, where you just have that guaranteed follow-up. They didn't even need a card in their hand to keep going here. They're going to be able to play with those Fiendsmith cards. Now, are they going to be able to, most importantly, get rid of that Ryzeal Cross this turn? Because that is going to be follow-up for the Ryzeal deck next turn. Or maybe even finish the game this turn. Who knows what they can do.
We shall see. There is the Engraver, meaning there is now a not level 4 monster on the field. So if one of our cards in hand is X Ryzeal, that doesn't do, like, it can't surge at least anymore, which is annoying.
Yep.
But we shall see whether that becomes a factor here even. In general, like, in the TCG, I think a lot of people played that Fiendsmith Ryzeal variant.
Yeah.
That was like super popular. And I was wondering how popular it is going to be in Master Duel because the environment is a little bit different.
It is.
We do have only 2 Fiendsmith Engravers, for example, which is not that great. We only have 1 Bonfire, which is just...
that is a big deal, especially
Yes.
for that variant, because pure Ryzeal can make up for that by playing 7th Tachyon and 7th Ascension, for example. But in Fiendsmith Ryzeal, it is very important to not lock yourself into Exceeds too early. Eventually, you're going to be locked into rank 4s, of course, because you play the Ryzeal cards later on. But in this version, you really want to be able to do the Fiendsmith stuff first.
That's true, but there is no Ice Ryzeal. That one doesn't care about what other monsters are on the field. We just bring out Sword Ryzeal. We get that X Ryzeal to the hand. So this is looking beautiful. Oh, is that a Synchro Summon or is that just sequence?
I think that's sequence.
Probably just sequence, yeah. I would think so as well. Oh, it is a Synchro Summon. There we go. I spotted it right. It is Chaos Angel, and that is going to banish the Drake Shark, and I think we're just working on 8,000 points of damage here. And with the cards we still have in hand, I don't think that is going to be much of a problem here. We could... Oh, sad that we do not have the Dugaris anymore, because Dugaris doubling the Chaos Angel would be quite a bit of damage, and that would be game here on the spot.
It would be. However, I don't think we are going to see that here. We're going to go into a duo drive here. Detach 2 materials from it after attaching. Do we still have Node Ryzeal is the question. Because if we do still have Node Ryzeal available, then this is very easily going to be 8,000 damage.
Agreed, but is it there? We could also search for Ice Ryzeal. Oh, there is Node Ryzeal. Huge.
That's just going to be another rank 4 by sending any card from hand to graveyard to revive another Ryzeal. And that can just be probably a Detonator, and that is going to be more than 8,000 damage from Chaos Angel, Duo Drive, and Detonator.
Have you expected that? There's a Chaos Angel on 2 separate tables right now, because Dual C in the White Forest deck, also we just saw Chaos Angel being summoned. That's hilarious, because it's not really a card you expect too much at the moment.
It is still a very powerful card, though. Every once in a while, you will be reminded by that fact.
Yeah.
Because there's still, I mean, yeah, once again, Malice does not commonly use the card, which is why you don't see it that often. But every time you see it, it is very powerful still, which is going to give... Team OMTA another win here at Table C, but now they are not going to go up 3-0. They're going to be up 2-1 because Fabi here finishing this game with the Fiendsmith Ryzeal version. Very interesting to see that deck show up on the stage here.
Yeah, and I think
with the Fiendsmith cards might end up on top like we saw there.
And interestingly enough, we also had a lot of Synchro decks here on the other tables. And we may have them on the main table now as well, as we do now see the White Forest in focus here on our main feature. And it's going to start off with an unanswered LZ of the White Forest.
I'll say one thing. This has not happened to us in WCS before, because not only did they win all 3 coin flips in the first round of games, they also won all 3 here. It is the turn button, all red. It is Team OMTA going first.
That's crazy.
3 times here and 3 times in the first round. So 6 coin tosses in a row going to the red team here.
Okay, I understand why they picked White Forest now, to be honest. I think they had a clear game plan.
No,
yeah.
no, absolutely. If you tell me right now we're going to win every single coin toss at WCS, I'm considering White Forest.
For sure, and we go into Arciela, and we saw, I think, Magic was the one activating Millennium cards on our first set. And what could Millennium mean at the moment? What kind of decks would that enable?
I mean, I suppose the most classic ones were Snake Eyes and Crystron, even though that when those decks were popular, it's like a two... It's before Malice release, essentially. Those would be the biggest two Millennium users, but we'll see if that's the case here.
Millennium users. That sounds interesting.
Well, decks that use Millennium.
Yeah, no, it is. It's technically correct for sure. The Millennium users. Funnily enough, also in the beginning, when Malice was released, people were experimenting a lot with actually including other engines into the Malice deck as well. For example, those Millennium cards. But at least in my like the way I was seeing ladder lately, it did not really seem like people were doing that too much anymore. What do you think?
I agree. It was an interesting thing that people experimented with, which I think a main reason for it was that you were able to do some more things under something like Artifact Lancia, because the Millennium cards themselves don't require you to banish anything. You can still do some stuff. However, I think one reason why the Millennium cards have fallen off a little bit, especially in ranked, is because it is really difficult to resolve one of those Millennium cards in the face of a Ryziel Detonator, because they all have to go into the spell trap zone first as a continuous spell, and then they will just be destroyed by Detonator.
I understand. I do agree. There is now here on our main feature again, Azamina, Murcielago, and OMTA P3. The player 3 of the team is living the life right now.
I mean, they're having a great time. Going first to White Forest twice, opening combo twice, almost uninterrupted 2 times in a row. They are just cruising through this match so far. Of course, the team is already up 2-1. So if they can convert these... okay. Well,
hold on.
All right.
Nibiru, the primal being, successfully resolving.
It is good here for sure to get rid of these monsters. However, White Forest is a deck that's known to really play through this instantly well, because we normally would be summoning a negation relatively early on, and so the Nibiru before that's the case here, but that means we can still keep going.
Do have that Wanderer Seeker of Sinful Spalls to grab Diabellus of a Black Witch from the deck. We have already gone through the Hallowed Azamina, as there we see it is the graveyard now, meaning though we can also just recycle it back into our hand, and we added the Black Witch. We can now also then make sure that we get another Azamina card in our hand, or Deception of the Sinful Spalls, another Sinful Spalls card rather, which is needed for Hallowed Azamina. You see, I think the first turn on Duel C has now ended. So we have concluded the first turn of this entire second set, and we see the result. Oh, wow. Have we even seen Centurion cards? Bro, we're getting so many different synchro strategies in this one.
Coming? That's
it's
a
a
Resonator deck.
pile.
It's a Resonator Centurion deck.
And
okay.
Did he just discard a Fire Ant there? It looked like that Fire Ant
There
card.
might be the Sunwalker package in there as well, which is another synchro engine.
And there's Earthbounds in there too? Josh, what is going on here? Come on.
They are a fan of synchro summoning, I can tell you that much.
I mean, you are as well, right? So
I mean, yeah, I like the Centurion deck a lot as well. And I also really like playing with the Earthbound cards when those first were added. So we'll see. We have a Vision Resonator here.
And
however, the field that the Ryziel deck has made here is very, very powerful, especially when it's backed up by a Droll and Lockbird.
Oh, that too. And there is a Baguska in defense position. This always seems so counterintuitive to me. Like, you make a field out of Exceed monsters, Detonator ready to destroy things.
Yeah, no,
and then you put a Baguska at the end on top of it.
I definitely agree. It looks like that in the first place, but it's like until you realize that most decks have to take care of the Baguska first before they can do anything meaningful. And it's basically just like saying, okay, here's the Baguska, answer that one first. Once you've done that, you will basically free up my own Detonator for me, and then I can start popping off with that afterwards.
Oh, here comes Chaos Angel. And the Chaos Angel is not unaffected in that regard there by the Baguska. Still has to go into defense position.
Interesting dynamic here because you might think Chaos Angel would be unaffected by Baguska. However, the wording here on Chaos Angel is very important because Chaos Angel says it's unaffected by activated effects.
Yes.
And Baguska, of course, being a continuous effect, is not an effect that you activate. That is just something that is in place whenever Baguska is on the field. And therefore, Chaos Angel is not unaffected by it.
Totally true. So it goes back to Tessa for Team OMTA, and it's looking good. And I think now in the standby phase, we detach the material from the Baguska, and now first move in the main phase
that's
is
always,
getting that Baguska.
That's always what it is. You always switch that Baguska to attack. That's how you know they're about to convert that board into some serious damage here.
Yes, and trust me, I've not done it plenty of times. I've been there before. I turned the detonator into attack position, and it switched right back. And I was like, okay, I can't bring that back into attack position that turn anymore.
The detonator does a little dance.
Yep, indeed. And I think we actually are in the battle phase on Duel A there now. So maybe let's go back. Oh, in the meantime, there's a phalanx here at this table. But we see now, finally revealed that it was the Crystron deck working with those Millennium cards here from Magic.
That makes sense.
And there also we see the result that still came after Vinibiru resolving. So we got our hands on an Ilya Sylvia, but besides that, not so much more, I want to say.
You know what? That's actually not too bad of a spot here, especially with the normal summon of the Tristauros here, forcing that not only the trap card, but also the Ash Blossom here.
Yeah, if we have something to work with in our hand here, that can definitely still... Oh, and there's Called by the Grave now on the Ash Blossom even.
Oh, they might be able to make this work, really. I could see Crystron coming away with this game if they have something in hand to keep pushing.
Well, like, how many Synchro decks really? We have Crystron, we have White Forest, we have Centurion, Resonator, Earthbound. That is actually really just all of the Synchro decks here. And are we not, like, I feel like we're even missing one. Was there not another one? Just all Synchro for this round.
I mean, I can think of other Synchro decks.
Oh, wait, no, I think it was the Chaos Angel also being summoned in the Fiendsmith Ryziel deck.
Fiendsmith Ryziel has
I had a memory of Synchro monsters in that one as well. But here for the moment, we have the Sylvafnir in hand, which is good to go
That's what I meant earlier. They have another way to keep going here in main phase 2, and White Forest is essentially out of interruptions here, except for that one face-down card. So we'll see if they're able to interrupt Crystron here. A Called by the Grave on this would be huge, and it is Called by the Grave. That is going to hurt on that Sylvafnir, because that was their ticket to a Crystron combo here. And that Nibiru token is huge. 6,000 attack. Even if they don't have anything else here, 6,000 from the token, 2,500 from the Diabellstar is technically enough to finish the game next turn. So Crystron has to get something going here in main phase 2. However, they've already used their normal summon. They've already used Sylvafnir. There's not many things they can have. And they see the writing on the wall. They almost broke that White Forest board, but the Called by the Grave was a little bit too much there in main phase 2. So we have our red team here going up 3-1 so far. Of course, after going first in every single game. And here also, once again, we see that super strong Malice field with Appaloosa, with Firewall, with a set card and some cards in hand. So it's looking good here for Umbra as well. And then we also, of course, saw the Ryziel field here finishing the game.
Duel C
is about to end right there.
Yeah, that looks like almost the final swing, I think. Oh, yep, direct tag table C also done. There we still have it. The last finishing sequence of Detonator going for game. And that means Duel B possibly will already determine the outcome of this entire match between these two.
I mean, the blue team here is going to not only have to win this game, but every single game left in this match. If they win this game, they still have another 3 games left afterwards that they have to win every single one. First of all, we see an Infinite Impermanence taking out the Appaloosa here, putting it back to 0 attack, and then we follow things up here with an X Ryziel. So it's Ryziel playing into a Malice field here, which is, I mean, Infinite Impermanence and X Ryziel are 2 pretty good cards to go second with. So if there's anything that gives them a chance, it would be this combination. So the Firewall here is chained because they're forced to use it now. Otherwise, it's going to be negated by the Aggregator.
That is true. And there is Maxi in the hand of Umbra, having that comfortable combo field backed up by one of the strongest cards in all of Master Duel.
That is a tough one.
And it does resolve as well. That is so massive. Interesting decision to activate the Firewall Dragons first and then the Maxi after that, because technically, if your opponent has Caught by the Grave,
you
could decide to dodge that and take that Maxi back to the hand.
That is a good call for a small optimization here. However, they did not have the Caught by the Grave to punish.
I mean, okay, you don't want to Caught by it anyways if you have it yourself, I guess.
You know what? We'll trade Maxis here. Now, here's the thing. We've seen it plenty of times. The Malice deck has one of the strongest follow-ups out of all the games in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel at the moment. And so I think here for Fabi, unfortunately, no real choice but to go in a little bit further this game, because otherwise I think Malice, no doubt, has the ability to finish the game next turn. So they're going to have to play into this Maxi. How many draws are they going to have to give? And how... Because 9,600 life points at the moment for Umbra after that GWC, because it gains you back those life points that you paid for the Malice effect. So it's going to be tough to do that much damage over this board.
Very much, but don't rule out Fabi. Fabi was the one that so far was the only player of Team RUPL that was able to win a game with his Fiendsmith Ryziel deck on the first set. So they may as well do it again. But we shall find out, because okay, it's down to 7,800. That seems more manageable.
And we're getting cards for those. You know, we're bringing back the Red Ransom and the Cryptor here. That's going to be 2 draws for Fabi off of that previously resolved Maxi.
Yeah. And I feel like the pure Ryziel strategy sometimes struggles to close out games on one turn.
Yeah.
But the Fiendsmith Ryziel Varine, on the other hand, has a lot easier of a time to do that.
Yeah, Fiendsmith, however, is going to give that Maxi massive value. You'd have to probably summon like 5 times just for the Fiendsmith cards alone. So you'd really be hoping that Malice just blanks on those draws and doesn't get anything to disrupt you. At the same time...
You know what? You have to take that, right?
You do have to take the risk here, I think. And also, at the same time, the board is still so massive. We had a 2,300 White Binder, 2,500 Firewall, 2,300 Ransom, 5,000 attack Cryptor. How are we going to deal almost 8,000 damage through all those monsters?
I'll give you my... Oh, wait. We already went to X-Ryziel. So the Fiendsmith option not even there anymore.
True. Good call. Yeah, no, that's true. Also, there's going to be an MTPO7 set from the deck here with the White Rabbit. Ryziel, 8 cards in hand here, locked into rank 4s already. Under Maxi, opponent is already presenting way more than enough damage for next turn. At this point, it's not even a question of follow-up anymore. They don't need follow-up. They already have what it takes to finish the game.
The one-off Bonfire was found. We drew enough cards to secure that, but...
Bonfire is secured.
That Lonely Eyes Ryziel, I don't know whether it will be able to turn this around, but sure thing is, Fabi will try, because there is... I mean, if he loses this, the entire match between those two teams is over, so he may as well try.
The team's life on the line here, and of course they're going to try their best to secure this game. Summoning another X Ryziel with this Ice Ryziel. Can't search with it because it's already done that this turn, but the MTPO7 is going to be activated here. Ash Blossom on that is going to prevent not only the search, but also the banish here.
Yeah, and I think the important part here is Umbra really tried to make sure that that first rank 4 summon is not happening, because very often into a Malice field, you do see the Evil Storm Exciter Knight being summoned.
Now, the thing is, with the Max being active, you do have to count a little bit and double check, but with how many cards Malice has, I think the Exiton still works here. They're going to have 7 cards in their own hand. Exiton, that's 8 total. No, they have almost as many cards on the field already.
It would work, but is that the option we want to go for? Because, again,
no damage.
No damage,
No damage, and you're under Maxi, and Malice basically has all the follow-up in the world. But I'll be honest with you, I think winning the game this turn is not an option. I don't think that is something that Ryziel can do in a game state like this. So we are going to go for the Exciton Knight. We're going to try to destroy the whole board. We're going to lose it to the Cryptor, because that also gets a banish here.
I mean, one cool thing that could work, if there is Artifact Lancea in our deck somehow, because maybe they decide to give one copy of that to the Ryziel Fiendsmith player, as they can possibly search it if they are on the 7th Tachyon. On the other hand, they are on the Fiend card, so probably no 7th Tachyon. But if you just have that, it really doesn't matter how many cards you're giving with the Maxi, right?
That's fair enough. Yeah, that'd be one win condition here, even when Malice has like a fully set up graveyard and a full hand. You could be just using a Lancea to buy another turn here. Something possibly in their deck. You know, I'm sure they expected Malice to be in most teams' lineups for today. So Lancea is for sure an option.
And looking at the deck list, actually, we do have their deck list, and gotta say, disappointingly enough, there is no Artifact Lancea for Fabi available.
Okay.
That will not be something that they can rely on here for this one, so we will have to do it without. Okay, we send the Lacrima to the graveyard, but there's no other Fiendsmith cards around, so it won't do too much.
Yeah, we just want to special summon that Ice Ryziel to get 2 level 4s onto the field. And now we have the Cross Heart Draw here, which is going to be a potential monster negation with the Ryziel Cross, and we're going to overlay into Duo Drive. We're going in even further, interestingly enough.
Hear me out. We're decking them out.
At this point. Okay, you know, I don't know if that's possible. Infinite Impermanence is going to stop the Duo Drive in its tracks, not attaching a card from the graveyard. I believe that's what they're trying to do there. However, even a negated Duo Drive counts as a Ryziel Exceeds for Ryziel Cross, so that is still going to be a negation. Also, Ryziel Cross going to be able to draw a card here. At this point, of course, after the Excitonite resolving, all we can really look for is some way to get through that next turn.
Oh, are we looking into his hand? Show us all you got there. All the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards that you have.
You know what? Maybe.
Oh, maybe we're drawing?
Maybe. At this point.
We are drawing,
yeah, we're
indeed.
drawing.
Okay.
Because, I mean, what's the point of looking at their hand? Just show me that you have everything already, and I'm going to take 1 from everything, which probably still leaves you with basically everything, so...
Maybe it's just like free Impulse, free Effect Veiler... Never know. Okay, what's that? That's a March here, but we are also under Max C here, so...
Yeah, I think that March here you're actually
draws.
not unhappy about, because also most of the things in the graveyard have already activated their effects to return from the banished pile, so... Just let that March here happen, take the free card, and then run over it? I don't know. That's fine.
Yeah, and even if they do banish something that can activate in the banishment, you can still then, after getting that draw, negate with the Ryziel Cross. So
exactly, yeah. Good point.
Is definitely something, I feel like, as you say, Fabi is really not too unhappy about.
Yeah, and they do let it go through here as we see the priority pass over. March here, banishing another March here, which is going to be just like, you know, drawing the opponent a card. March here, back to hand, so they don't lose out on the March here. It's just going to be a new March here in hand for them.
We could have negated, though. We could have ruled out the March here there by just using the Ryziel Cross, but we decide not to go there.
I think they're a little cautious maybe of an appear, the Primal Being here, which would, I think what they care about most...
We did not attack over it, though.
Did not attack the March. Did we were in main phase 1, weren't we?
Yeah, we were definitely in main phase 1. And I think the way Master Duel is always displaying it is it's asking you, do you still want to go, or do you still want to leave the main phase? And maybe they were a little too quick, and then, oh yeah, it was the end phase that we actually were intending to go into.
I see. Okay, that's unfortunate.
And now immediately turning that March share into a Lingo Rebo, making sure that if there possibly is the Ryziel grab card stat, that we can deal
Here's
with
the thing, there's still, like, because Ryziel has 6 cards in hand, this turn could get a little messy still for Malice, even though they have basically everything they could ask for in terms of follow-up. They have all the Malice Link monsters in the graveyard already, so banishing anything is always going to put huge threats onto the board. Like, for example, this White Binder here is something that you're almost forced to negate it with Cross, because that's going to lead to so many cards on its own.
Absolutely. So the Ryziel Cross effect now was resolved. So that means for now, for at least apparent interruptions, Umbra free to go from here on out. But with those 6 cards in hand, as you just said, there is plenty of things to still be expected here, I think. But first of all, that March here comes on the field. Cryptor wants to come back now as well. And as soon as those big link-free Malice monsters are on the field, it's really dangerous for any deck going off against it, because we can just turn that into an Access Code Talker quickly. Also, I mean, the 4900, or if we get rid of the Duo Drive, 5,000 attack points on their own are so strong already. And we just go into the battle phase. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, we are not even bothering summoning 5 times because we don't want to deal with any Nibiru the Primal Being, potentially. So, Art Scriptor in the battle phase is going to non-target banish a card on the opponent's field. We are going to choose the Duo Drive, which means we have enough damage to go in for 8,000 damage. We can protect from a set trap card with the Linger Rebo, and since we are in the battle phase already, there's a limited amount of things they can do about it.
Yeah. I love how the Fiendsmith mate is going off there against the Fiendsmith deck here, but it is the Malice strategy closing out here for Team OMTA. Oh, okay, the Honorable Crossout Designator.
They drew it off of the Maxi eventually. They needed it earlier to stop the opponent's Maxi. Didn't get it. called Nibiru the Primal Being here. Honorable Nibiru call with the cross out, and they're going down. Can't save their team here in this match. You gotta say, though, when you're going second, 6 out of 6 games, you can't help but feel like it wasn't meant to. That was, of course, also the case with the White Forest.
Ooh, who do we have here? That is Luca, and Luca, of course, means our World Championship participation team of Storm of Ragnarok. And
it's already looking good for them. Yeah, we see a 4-2 score, so we are in the 3rd round of games here, essentially, of this best of this 9-game series. The previous 2 have already gone towards.
Ooh, that is not looking too hot anymore, though. For Luca faces the turret pass, so it's looking really good. Actually,
it's looking good for Luca. It's looking good for Herman / Mist here on table B as well. And in table C, we see Nesh also going first. So since they only have to win 1 out of these 3 games, I would think they have a very good shot at advancing to the top 8 here. But let's see. I don't want to talk too soon as Luca is summoning out a Dormouse. And there's a Moltrami Fuvalos in response. Representing a Maxi as well, because normally you wouldn't use the Fuvalos this early, because your opponent is trying to summon from the banished pile, not from the extra deck or deck.
Totally. And yes, very well read by the pro gamer Joshua Schmidt. There is a Maxi as well. And also perfectly read by Luca, of course.
He understood what was going on there. Especially when you're going second with Malice. Moltrami Fuvalos is actually so much less of a big deal than a Maxi.
Oh, another Fuvalos now as well, though. And I mean, you can just decide to not play into this one at all.
Malice actually has a way to win in just 1 extra deck summon, which is Hard Scripter.
Yeah.
You just make a Hard Scripter, you go to battle phase, you attack for 3100 because you've resolved Dormouse beforehand, and then you can just go Hard Scripter, banish itself, and return from the banish pile. That's another 5000 attack, and that's going to end the game in just 1 summon from the extra deck here, potentially, if Luca wants to go for that line. And honestly, I could see it being the case here, but that's, of course, still going to give 2 draws to UA here.
Seems about right. And one more thing very noteworthy. Mist, of course, the one qualifying the team for the World Championship, has decided to bring also the combination of Beansmith and Ryziel cards.
And we see it unlocking. We see it unlocking the full potential there as well, because they did start with Ice Ryziel, and so we have a wave hiking star even before we do any of the Ryziel things, and so far they go uninterrupted. So that's looking pretty good there as well. However, we see Luca deciding not to go for any of the things that I've mentioned. Instead, because the opponent didn't play at all on the last turn, they were like, I don't want to give you any new cards. I don't want to risk anything. I just want to pass and see if you find something playable off that next turn.
And I mean, somewhat understandable. I feel like against 1 Moltrami Fuvalos, you maybe would have done it, but against 2 Moltrami Fuvalos, you just didn't want to go there.
Yeah.
I can definitely get that. And that is a card I am very curious about in the current metagame, because
I agree.
When we had that duel between the 2 themes in the TCG, between Malice and the Ryziel deck, Metaltronus was a staple in so many of those decks, or at least side decks, and I think it is really good now in Master Duel again.
In general, first of all, I agree. It's a very interesting card because it's like one of the few cards that has a lot of value against both Malice and Ryziel potentially, if you have the right targets for it. I think that's the thing. It always comes with a caveat. You do need a right target for the matchups. However, for most decks, it's like, okay, I'm going to put like Ryziel Detonator in my extra deck, and then I've covered Ryziel. And then all you need is like a Cyberse. Or when you're playing Malice yourself, well, you're going to have all the Malice names ready to go, of course.
Definitely. Now we banish a Dormouse with the Chassis Cat. So really the turn from Jue after that activation of Metaltron is not too impressive. So things are looking beautifully here for Luca and also for TSTOR.
I mean, unfortunate hand there, of course, for UA going first without a play is always very unfortunate. And I think Luca here already has enough damage to finish out the game. Doesn't have to do anything super fancy here, to be honest. Can, of course, do so, because there's no cards left in hand for UA, so you don't have to play around anything like Nibiru the Primal Being or anything of that sort. So if you want to, you can keep comboing here.
Yeah, I mean, you can just go into a Hard Scripter. Hard Scripter already checks with one of the cards that is set face down, because you can, of course... And then there's MTP. So this basically deals with the 2 cards that are on the field. So I feel... Okay, and still we just go into the battle phase in the end.
There's not much that's going to prevent the game here, and that is, of course, going to be the case. Luca takes down... Prepared. Looks like they're off to a good start. we have enough time to look into one of our other ongoing top 16 matches here as we have Team P2 up against PH and W. And we have a very interesting looking field here from a Memento deck with a Ryziel detonator in the mix. I'm going to throw out a wild guess here and say that a Triple Tactics Talents was involved or something of that nature, because the Memento deck typically not able to summon a detonator.
I mean, it would either be that or maybe a maze. I would rather think it's a maze because
we're
it
in
is
turn
probably
2.
the turn of Nicky Boy,
it's
right?
the Ryziel turn. No, you're right. You're right. It's absolutely not a talent. It was a maze situation.
Yeah, but I mean, still cool because...
That's almost even better, though, because it's the opponent's turn, so you have a detonator now. I have a detonator, and I'm not afraid to use it.
That is absolutely... Interestingly enough, why did they not chain the detonator to that? Because they could have just destroyed it, but now you gave your opponent a detonator that they can even still have... they still have a material to use with it.
Maybe they didn't want to destroy itself because they are planning to just go to the end phase and just...
All right, yeah, we're getting it back here.
Hand me back my detonator.
Mission accomplished, but we are facing so many things. The Herald is still on the field, SP is returning, and we do have plenty of Memento follow-up as well.
The detonator returns, in fact. It was not the Memento deck summoning a detonator.
Oh, no! No! Memento players know these feelings.